Hello, everyone. Welcome to question number 100 of our In the Inbox series. We are starting off 2025 answering this question that was asked by Jacob. And Jacob said, how easy is it to open up a company in Belize? What do I need to know? So I'm going to jump through a very high level overview with you. Please note that I am not an attorney. I am not a consultant in this. So if you have more specific questions, what I would recommend doing is going into the description below and then looking at those websites as resources or contacting an attorney who can help guide you through it. But I just wanted to give you the 101 and what it is that you should expect if you are going to be opening a business in Belize. So first and foremost, this is how to get started as a foreigner. So as a foreigner, this is somebody that does not have status in the country yet. You do not have a citizenship, residency, or a work permit at this point. Yes, you are still permitted to open a business, but these are things that you should be expecting as you're getting started. Number one is you're going to be opening up a local Belize 250 company. That is a local company that will allow you to do business here in Belize. Because you are a foreigner, you are going to be required to work with a registered agent. And typically this process takes about 1 to 3 weeks. Now, what I'll do in the description below is put a list of the registered agents. And then from there, you can choose one that works well for you. Or of course, you can always work with an attorney who can help guide you through it. Number two is once you get that Belize 250 company open, that typically takes about 1 to 3 weeks, just depending on how quick you are able to get your documents over to the registered agent. But once you have that 250 company, then you're going to apply for your trade license. And this is specifically here in Ambergris Caye. Depending on where you're trying to set up shop or set up your business, it may be a little bit different if the place that you're looking to do it is considered a city or a village or a town. So it is going to be a little bit different, but I'm going to talk specifically about San Pedro Ambergris Caye here. So what you'll do is you'll apply for your trade license through the San Pedro Town Council. This is actually something that you're able to do online. I'll put that link in the description below, but there are going to be certain things that they'll ask you for. So for example, you are going to need to put in an address of your office, and you're also going to be required to get a fire inspection and a health inspection done and submit those reports as well. But this is something that you can apply for online. And then depending on the type of business, your fee, your registration fee is going to vary just depending on what you're doing. But this, you do want to expect about 2 to 6 weeks. It may be a little bit longer depending on when you are submitting your trade license, since they don't have meetings all the time. However, if you want a special meeting for your company, then you're able to do that for an extra charge. This typically takes about 2 to 6 weeks, although it can take longer than that, again, just depending on when it is that you are applying. Next step, and these are the next 3 steps that you can do really together concurrently. You don't have to wait for one to be done before you do the others. But number 3 is going to be apply for your tax ID number. So this is something that I would recommend you either go in person for just to understand what it is that you need to do, or you can still submit your application online. However, I would still recommend talking with the tax department to understand what your tax obligations are going to be. I know here there's just a lot of hearsay, how some person did it may not necessarily be the right way. And so instead of talking to other people who are in the same industry as you, I would just recommend going to them directly. Now, if you're somebody who does not have a status here in the country and you are going to be running the business, you need to apply for your work permit. This typically takes about 4 to 12 weeks, but it can be faster, it can be slower. It also does help if you're working with somebody, a facilitator who can really submit your application for you, so you don't have to always do the follow-up. But I would expect about 4 to 12 weeks for this. Now, again, this is required if you are going to be the one who's running your business. If you're going to be the one who's involved at any step of the way, you will need your work permit here. This is an annual renewal of the work permit, and then you can reapply for it every year. And then what you'll also want to do is open up your corporate bank account. This typically takes about 2 to 4 weeks. So this is just a very quick overview. Again, put more links in the description below. So if you want to read through the Belize 250 company chapter code, you can do that. I'll put in the description the link for the trade license application. I'll put in the link for where and how you can contact the San Pedro tax ID, a tax company, or tax department rather. So again, all of this is going to just require time and patience, but it does also help if you are here for it. I mean, I would probably only do this if you are here in person, because it'll help simplify things of being able to go and talk to people. But here are 4 helpful tidbits that I didn't necessarily know before I started my company. And so I just want to share it with you. And I did mention this before, but One is you'll need to have a physical office address when you're applying for your trade license application. Now, when I was first starting my real estate company, I just was working from home. I didn't necessarily have a reason to have a physical address. And you are able to put an at-home office on your trade license application, but they are going to be coming in inspecting. They do want to have a sign outside of your home that indicates that your business is there. So this is something that is a little outdated, I think. Hopefully over time it'll change, but right now it is still part of the requirements. Also, if you do have an office that you're renting or that you're leasing, they'll typically ask you for a copy of your lease to be able to verify that. In addition to that, you are going to have a fire and health inspection. I know this is something that may seem a little silly, even depending on what business you're in. I know they do typically require a health inspection, even if you're not serving food, but it's just better to have it than not have it. And then the fire inspection as well. You'll have the fire chief come just inspect the office. They'll want to see an exit sign. They'll want to see a fire extinguisher here. But again, those are things that you'll see in the application. So just note that, understand that. It is a little tedious, but it is going to be required in order to get your trade license approved. In addition to that, please note that you cannot work in Belize if you're on your QRP unless you specifically have applied for the QRP that falls under the investor program. With that investor program, there's a minimum requirement of how much money you have to invest in your company that you're setting up here. So please note that it's going to, if you're under this QRP, there is that minimum requirement of investment. If you're not under this QRP, you don't have a minimum investment that you have to put into your company in order to get it established. Number 3 is you'll need to visit the bank in person to set up your Belize bank account. There are 3 local banks here that most businesses will do, that we'll work with. One is Atlantic Bank, Heritage Bank, and Belize Bank. Those are all businesses, all banks that are going to be in Belize dollar. All of the accounts will be in Belize dollar. This probably, for me, was one of the most frustrating steps because I did need to go there in person. There was no appointment. You're waiting in line, you get there and they say, oh, well, did you bring this document? And I'm looking at the list. I'm like, well, it wasn't on the list, right? Your company seal, for example, they're going to require that you have your company seal. Nowhere was it on the list. And so I had to wait 3 weeks for one of the printing agencies to be able to create the company seal, then had to go seal, then had to go back in person, drop it off. And then there was something else that they wanted and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it does happen. It does work, but just pack your patience. And then last but not least, I would highly recommend working with an attorney if you prefer somebody else to be following up for you. A lot of these steps will require significant follow-up, whether you're going in person or whether you get the contact information, the WhatsApp information for the person that you're working with directly there in the department, but it will require follow-up. There are a couple of attorneys that I know our clients have worked with that were very helpful and able to get a person from A to Z when they were setting up the company, helping with the work permit process, helping with opening up a bank account. It's going to cost a little bit more than if you were doing it on your own, but it is going to be a little frustrating at points if they are going to require more information from you. So these are just 4 helpful tidbits. Of course, as you're going through the applications, you'll probably have more questions. But like I mentioned, I'm not a consultant in this. I'm not an expert in this by any means. I have set up a couple companies and gone through the whole gauntlet of what needed to be done. And I have found that each time it does seem to be a little different. So that's why it's always most important to go to the person, to go to the department that you're working with directly to make sure you have everything that you need. Now, if you are planning to spend time here in Belize, please reach out to us. Best way to contact us is email info@lunarealtybelize.com, info@lunarealtybelize.com. We have really helpful and handy complimentary e-guides that we can send your way. If you are a foreigner who's looking at property here in Belize, this is something, these are documents that you'll want to have and review before you decide to purchase real estate here. Again, my name is Rachel Jensen, broker owner of Luna Realty Belize. We hope to see you here in person. And again, check out the description below for the more specifics about this topic, and we'll see you in paradise soon. Bye, everyone.